Good morning, everybody. This is Electrical Essence, and today's topic of discussion is love. And love has been a topic of discussion, it seems like, for all of eternity, or pretty much like everybody's life. It's always something that will always be there, that is always something that always needs to be addressed, that is always something that needs to be evaluated. And when I say been a topic of discussion for basically eternity, is there's always these different concepts and these different definitions and different uses for the word love. Now, I have a lot of issues when it comes to the word love. It's just like I have an issue with the word sorry. And I also have the issue with the word I will or I can or anything that has to do with the actual meaning of what that word, that phrase, or that saying means. Now, love is huge right now because of everything that is going on, especially with our alignments, with the planetary alignments. And anybody that knows me personally knows that I'm a huge astrology freak, and it's basically something that I eat, sleep, and drink every single day. Like, I'm to the point now to where if you can't even talk to me on my level of understanding, then I'm not able to talk to you. Like, and it's a lot of that has to do with being able to be on equal grounding when you're communicating with somebody. Now, I'm not saying like, don't talk to me, but when it comes to my personal life, or when it comes to when you want to deal with me on a personal level, you have to be able to understand where I'm coming from, or what I'm, just what I'm dealing with, and especially for like the last year and a half, I have just engulfed myself into things that are about me and things that I'm into, things that I'm learning, things that I'm trying to understand and make sense of, and also, too, things that I'm trying to incorporate into my life. So not only one, I can take care of my family, take care of myself, have that slice of the pie. That slice of the pie meaning, that happiness, that goodness that you get from, when you eat some pie or some cake or something sweet, because life is supposed to be sweet. Not necessarily all the time, but life is so beautiful that we seem to like want the piece of the pie, and then when we get it, we scarf it down so fucking fast that we have no idea what fucking flavor it was. So when it comes to love and the alignments and everything that we're going through right now, and what people are going through on an individual level, all boils down to fucking love. And if people don't understand that, then they really need to do some self-evaluation, and then they need to go and look up some terms in the book, or, they need to go back to fucking kindergarten and to understand how to even spell the word correctly, so then they can start going from ground A to ground Z. Now, when it comes to the planetary alignments, think about it. Jupiter is in Libra. Oh my fucking God, what's that? That's relationships, right? That's relationships to yourself. That's relationships to other people, your partner, family members, anybody that is not you, that you have a connection with, or it's just other people. But it also correlates back to you because, yourself, that higher and lower self. You have that relationship with your higher and lower self. Now, Capricorn, right? We've got Pluto and Capricorn. Now, especially anybody that understands astrology, and anybody that is especially a fucking Cancer sun, Cancer moon, or Cancer fucking rising, they have to deal with Pluto in certain parts of the chart, which also boils down to either relationships, love. I mean, there's so much to it. So, me personally, being in Western astrology, I am a Cancer rising, and understanding and being able to flow through being an air sign mixed in with a water sign has been hell. And when I say hell, there's nothing worse or nothing more fearful, and there's nothing more just, in a sense, just ugly and full of turmoil than dealing with emotions. And not just your own emotions, but the emotional baggage of everybody else, the emotional baggage of things that you pick up. Like, I swear to God, it's like, it's like you leave your house and you're just stepping in gum all the time, and you get back home, then you gotta fucking clean the shit off your shoe, and half the time some of those emotions just stick, or there's still a little bit of residue next to it. And, and I used to be so geared towards just being I don't know, taking my emotions and locking it away and then dealing with it as come, breaking it down whenever I'm ready to, because if I don't handle my emotions in a certain kind of way, it fucks me up. It fucks me up because I am a mental person, not an emotional person. In my Eastern astrology chart, I am a Gemini rising, a Gemini moon. Again, that's a very non-emotional, very intellectual, very verbal communicative type of sign, you know. And when it comes to emotions, and anybody that's an air sign will definitely get what I'm saying, is we don't deal with emotions. We don't understand emotions like how some people do. Like, we experience it and we understand it and we deal with it differently than water signs, fire signs, and even earth signs. Everything to us is all in our mind. Everything to us is not the actual feeling of it, it's the actual understanding of it. And when I say understanding of emotions, like with me, okay, why am I feeling sad? Why am I feeling jealous? Why am I feeling hurt? Why am I feeling this kind of a way? Because there's always a root to the thing. Why am I feeling used? Why am I feeling taken advantage of? Why am I feeling, even like, why am I feeling happy? Like, what's making me happy? And especially when I am feeling really happy or giggly, I love to take that out and just like, recognize it, acknowledge it, and be good. And when I have my periods of happiness, which is so crazy, it's usually when I'm by myself, because I do love spending time by myself. I value that surrendering to my solitude, because that's when I am the most so comfortable within myself, and it's just so beautiful to be able to be in that comfort of your own fucking skin. So many people are so fucking scared of that comfort. So whenever I am feeling happy, I think, okay, what am I doing right now? What's going on to make me feel happy? And I'm like, oh, okay, this is what's making me happy. If I'm feeling sad, if I'm feeling like those ugly, gross feelings, that's something to where I've learned over the years of knowing myself and learning myself and evolving myself mentally, emotionally, spiritually, whatever, is those emotions have to be handled accordingly, and they have to be handled on my fucking terms. When I say my terms, like, don't try to get me out my feelings. Don't try to pull out my fucking feelings. Like, don't try to dig around in my fucking head, and don't try to dig around in my emotions to try to grasp at what you think I'm fucking feeling, because I will let you know what the fuck I'm feeling. So that's why so many people, when they get defensive, like, don't put words in my mouth. Don't throw your emotions on me. Don't try to break down what you think I'm feeling. Let me tell you what I'm feeling. Now, when it comes to those emotions, I have to be able to, for one, get out of the heat of the moment. Do not try to pick at my emotions when I'm still picking at my own fucking emotions. And don't try to take what you're feeling from off of what I'm feeling and then try to throw that onto me to where you think you're going to have a better understanding of what I'm going through when I haven't even been able to express to you what I'm feeling, So then I have your emotional baggage on top of me, on top of my own emotional stuff. So everything when it comes to emotions, it's a moment, it's a time period, it's a stamp, it's a marking. So whenever I deal with certain emotions that are really intense and very profound, and especially like those ugly gross feelings that we don't like to feel, I have to be able, for one, get out of the heat of the moment. And once I'm out of the heat of the moment, which means not at that exact moment when I'm feeling that are still resonating through it, trying to, kind of grasp the feeling of it, because I don't feel things emotionally. I feel things intellectually. I feel things verbally. I feel things in a communicative type of resonance and frequency. So whenever I am feeling like that lack of love, that lack of self-love, that lack of where I'm needing to really like check myself when it comes to that, I need a moment. Like, give me a moment to process. Give me a moment to let it sink in. Let it vibe from my head down to my toes. Let my brain, like a section of my brain that handles all of that, like left side of my brain, let that, let those little synapses and everything do what they need to do, so then that way I can articulate into a verbal type of form to you, so breaking it down to you, so I can let you know what the exact thing that I'm feeling. And right now, love being a topic, so many people, and again, everybody is allowed to have their own feelings, everybody's allowed to have their own definitions, their own terms, but when you're dealing with another human being, when you're dealing with another universe, another world, another person in your reality, you have to really remember that their feelings, their thoughts, Their everything is their reality, and everything you're doing is your reality. So to be able to understand somebody else's reality, be able to understand somebody else's book, to be able to understand somebody else's movie, programming, or whatever, you really need to step outside your own fucking feelings and then understand it from an intellectual level before you start feeling it at an emotional level, or even before you can communicate it at a level. You really have to take yourself outside of yourself, because if you don't, then you make it about you. Then you take it and you wrap it up within yourself, and then everything that is being shared in that communicative style about emotions and about feelings and about love becomes way more subjective than it should ever allow to be. That's the problem with people with counseling and mentoring and life coaching and everything, is they want to make everything so about themselves. Like with me, when I'm coaching with somebody or mentoring with somebody, or even like doing some deep emotional bonding through some shit, I take myself out of my fucking feelings. Now, if I happen to get stuck into my feelings, or if I happen to start to feel a certain way, then I really need to check, okay, what's going on with me? What's going on with me to where I'm allowing this to affect me? So it's all about understanding yourself. It's all about that love for yourself. That deep emotional bond of love with yourself. Being able to know whenever you're not at that level when it comes to love, and whenever you feel like, okay, why am I feeling insecure? Why am I feeling hurt? Those all root back to the love of self. Why am I feeling insecure in my relationship? Why am I feeling this way about this person? Why am I feeling no love? So that always roots back to yourself. Now, love to me, I take love very fucking seriously. I probably take it more seriously than anybody else I know. I probably take it more seriously than any other water sign I know, any other fire sign I know. That's my reality. Because it seems like everybody has lost the meaning of love. Like everybody's lost the meaning of Valentine's Day. Everybody's lost the meaning of Christmas. Everybody has lost, and when I say everybody, it's just a term. So don't get butthurt over this, okay? And people get so butthurt so easily because they always want to make things about themselves when it's actually really not about them. But if the shoe fits, maybe, just check it in. Like when you see shit on Facebook and you think that person's talking shit about you, but really it's just something they posted because they thought it was funny, and then you start getting all up in your feelings about something that is not about you. That's goes back to the lack of fucking love, or issues with love, or problems in love. Because love is huge, it's profound, it's healing, it's nurturing, it's everything that's supposed to be resonating through our lives and through the vibrations of this earth and each other and our communication. But people have not been able to really grasp the fucking term of love, So with our planetary alignments that we have going on, so we've got Pluto, playing around Capricorn, which is, that is the mother and the father. That is Cancer and Capricorn. That is, that is your fourth house. That is your, that's your 10th house, So it has a lot to do with love of your parents, love of your mom, your dad. How has it affected you? How did their love and nurturing came into your resonance of yourself to how you love and how you see love and how you hurt people through love and how you try to heal people through love, or how you try to just love, and with us coming out of the age of Pisces, which, in that first house, and then we've got, Aquarius, poor Aquarius sitting there in the 12th house, just waiting to be just birthed into that first, and then we got Capricorn sitting in the executive house of 11. And then we have good old Sagittarius sitting in the 10th house. I love this. In the 10th house of the outer world. The outer world, like a lot of times, we correlate the 10th and the 6th house, the 6th house of slavery, which that will forever be the sixth house of slavery. The slavery of self, slavery of work, slavery of disease, slavery of enemies, slavery of everything. That's basically what it is. We are all in a form of slavery, and it's the slavery of self, because that chart is about yourself. So we've got Sagittarius sitting in the 10th house, and Sagittarius is, they're very, very rooted into not only our universe, like the universe of, where we're at with Earth and where we're sitting at, our constellation, our solar system. I mean, come on now. I mean, when you do the birth chart for the United States, when you do the birth chart for the Earth, it's either like Sagittarius rising or a Sagittarius. So, it's always, Sagittarius is always in there, and then they're talking about the Milky Way, or not so much, I'm sorry, not the Milky Way, but with our solar system being in the arm of Sagittarius. And then they said they found those 3 brown dwarf stars in the constellation of Aquarius. And I'm sorry, I giggle because, everybody, a lot of people are very fearful about the age of Aquarius, and, and that's okay, that fear, but you also got to understand, where's that fear coming from? Why are you so worried about it? Is it because of all the shit that you've been watching on YouTube and the TV and your friends and all that shit, and then you're absorbing it in, you're like, oh my God, that's right, Aquarius are the devil, this is going to be a demon time, well, you know what, maybe it will be, and maybe you just need to learn to love that, because just because something's dark, or maybe something is demonic, or maybe something that is labeled evil, is something that just needs some fucking love. So coming into that age of, we're on that cusp, and it depends on what you're looking at in the calculations, because some people believe that we are still kind of far out from that cusp. A lot of people believe that we timeline jump into the beginning, starting stages of Aquarius, and some of us believe that, or some people, can't say us, well, some of us think that, that we've been going through it, and any starting of any sign, those 0, 1, 2, 3 degrees, and then those last degrees of 28, 29, 30, they're intense, they're profound, there's a lot of things going on. And so, coming into the age of Aquarius, poor Aquarius sitting there in that 12th house, just, any of you Aquariuses that are dealing with some shit with Pisces, I feel ya. And a lot of times that just has to do with the age period and the energy that's going on. So we got Aquarius sitting there in the 12th, getting ready to be birthed into the 1st. And then we've got Leo, which is originally the ruler of the 5th house of children, 5th house of creativity, of love, self-love, and just, 5th house is just a beautiful house. And it's beautiful too, because it's like we, through our passions and creativity, create life. We produce life. We manifest life. And our children are our lives. Our children is the product of the creativity of our passions with another person that created another human being and another universe and another portion into this ever-expanding world that we're aspiring through on this rock and this solar system and this galaxy. That's another fucking star that was just made. So 5th house is beautiful. Like Leo's, when you know a really good Leo, when you know a Leo that has a very beautiful heart and a very beautiful soul, and they're just resonating all that love and beauty, and it just shines all within them, that is like the most loving energy to be engulfed in. When a Leo loves you, like when they love the shit out of you, it's you feel that love, you understand that love, and so we've got poor old Leo, sitting there, in the axis of the 12th, in 6th house, sitting there in a very dark house. The 6th house is a dark house. If you ever study any Vedic astrology or any type of Hindu astrology, that 6th house it's I hate to say this, but it's a death-inflicting house. But sometimes some things have to die. Some things have to be diseased. Some things have to deal with enemies and court cases and divorces and non-profit organizations and small animals. And I mean, sometimes we have to deal with all of that energy of that shit to basically, just relive into a light of love, Get out of that darkness. Bring that love. Bring that hate. Bring all of that shit into the light so it can have some love. It can have some understanding. It can have some connection, some grounding, And like that axis, the 1st and 7th house, which the 1st house is Aries, 7th house is Libra, and we're getting ready to put, Aquarius is getting ready to come into that 1st house, and Leo's getting ready to come into that 7th house. Now, 7th house, that's, relationships and other people and your business partners, and like that seventh house, you got sixth house is lower court cases, and seventh house is like your higher up court cases, like not just your basic traffic court, and then you got your ninth house of the lawmakers, so it's like that shift, and we've really got to be prepared for that fucking shift, because that shift that is about ready to happen, and none of us can necessarily pinpoint it down, because we're just we're the redneck hillbillies of the fucking universe, okay? We are so fucking far out here from when all this shit fucking started at the Big Bang. We're playing fucking catch up. We're a bunch of fucking inbred motherfuckers that are still learning how to fucking read. We're still learning how to even walk. We are so low on the fucking totem pole that we're not even on the totem pole. When we talk about aliens and stuff and coming to probe our assholes and everything. Well, yeah, because we are a bunch of fucking assholes. So I get why the aliens are probing assholes when they come here and visit, because they're trying to figure out what the fuck is wrong with us, with these fucking hillbillies, So, going into the age of Aquarius and dealing with the axis of it with Leo, the four axes of love, all different forms of love, and dealing with those fixed axes and coming out of dealing with that mutable, the mutable signs is Virgo, Pisces, Gemini, and Sagittarius. We're coming out of that. We're coming off of that cross and onto another cross. That sacrificial cross, that sacrificial cross of yourself, and the, and I love to look at astrology from different points of view, and looking at it from like a Christian point of view, and looking at it, how it resonates and vibes with the Bible. That sacrificial cross, that cross that Jesus Christ, he died on, because he was the sacrificial lamb, that his blood was a symbolism of washing over us and protecting us, like they did during the Moses time of, where they would mark the lamb's blood on the houses, so then that the darkness can pass over those houses and not take the firstborn sons. So it's that cross, like where you die over and over again. You sacrifice yourself over and over again, and you're spread out on that cross, because it's so deep. It's I'm not even going to get into. I'm not going to go too far into that. I'm going to see on the topic of love. But anyways, so with the whole thing about God's love and Jesus's love, and what about your own love? What about your own love and heart, and what about your love of your self-expression, fifth house, I love it. What about your love of your creativity, and what about the love of your children, and the love of being on that front stage, and that love of in the shine, that spotlight, and they say that the sun, is debilitated in the seventh house, a form of debilitation, because it's not its highest peak. Its highest peak right now, it is 10th house. That's Sagittarius is at their highest peak. That I always describe the 10th house as that sun, or the house that's up high with the sun, and the 8th house is the house that is down deep in the garage. You got to go through the car garage, down the elevator, and then you got to go through this tunnel, and then you go through this little door, and then you got to dig your way down through the dirt and all of that, and pass a lot of freaky, scary shit on the way there. That's 8th house, and then 12th house is the house that's like. That's the womb. That's like the womb of life. That's the womb of God. That's the womb of where you have your babies at before they come out into the into the first house. That's that incubation period. That's that like you want to make sure your babies are born when they're supposed to be born, so then that way they're healthy and that they have all their fingers and toes, and that they're not retarded. Okay, I talk a lot of shit. So that 12th house. We got Aquarius sitting up there. And they are going through some shit right now. Anybody that is an Aquarius sun, moon, or rising totally understand what the fuck I'm talking about when I say going through some shit. And we've been going through some shit for a while. And like with me, when it comes to certain transits, I feel and sense those transits before they start. Like Mercury getting ready to go retrograde tomorrow. Oh my God, and I've been like trying to tell myself, okay, how am I going to deal with this? I was like, what, fuck it, I'll just deal with it the best way I know how. Just deal with it. Just go through it. And Mercury retrograde is. I've always hated Mercury retrograde. But good old Mercury, that little ADHD child that's just fucking, all around the solar system, and, going to the sun and collecting all that information from the light and the solar flares of the sun, and then just radiating that information out from each planet, so the sun tells Mercury, so Mercury, I love that, the great God, with the little things on his shoes, Sorry, I like Hercules. It makes me think of Hercules, the Disney movie one. That one's so fucking funny with James Wood. But anyways, and then he goes and so he gets all the information and from the solar flares, and he's having to like run his ass off. That's why that planet is probably, well, it is why that planet is so fucking hot because it has no atmosphere. It's just been burnt up by the sun. So he goes really quick, and anything that has a fire on its ass is gonna move fucking fast. Just like your thought, your fire's in your thought, your thought process is gonna be really fucking fast. That's why I love air signs with fire sign moons, because those motherfuckers can think. They can think their asses off. So, he has to go and he has to tell Venus, our sister planet. Then it goes to Earth, because, Venus being our sister planet, Venus being the closest planet that is in correlation to kind of similar than us. But then when you go to Venus, it's nothing like Earth. It's like storm and gravity. I mean, like it's not even a planet that we can even like fuck with. It's like we can't explore it. What they've found out about Venus is a very chaotic fucking planet. The planet of love and beauty is a chaotic planet to where you put anything in its atmosphere, not only is the gravity gonna fuck that shit up, the lightning bolts and the storms and everything in the clouds is gonna fuck that shit up. Love, see? So that's why I always say, that Venus is a bad bitch. That bitch don't fucking play. Her planet don't fucking play. You ain't going to her fucking land and dealing with her in her fucking territory unless you can handle the storms and the gravities of her fucking love. So, then Mercury goes from there to the Earth. And, and Mercury probably got a little bit damaged on the way, having to, deliver that message from the sun to Venus, poor little Mercury. Mercury is that poor little ADHD child that doesn't know what the fuck is going on, but it's just like running around, just sharing the information, They don't know. They're just passing on the information. So if you guys got Gemini childs that can't shut the fuck up, that is why. Because they got so much shit in there, they just gotta get it out, And so then he goes on to the next planet, and then you gotta go all the way out to Pluto, which is a fucking planet, by the way. Poor little Pluto. That motherfucker's a planet. That little fucker, that's the little Napoleon planet with the size complex, he's so small, but yet that motherfucker's dynamite is so fucking big. And that's, if you have a conjunction onto Pluto, especially like your moon or your sun, that's some serious shit. But anyways, so then he's got to come all the way back, and do it over again. More information, that messenger, Geminis are the messenger, and Virgos are a type of a messenger. But, so we've got a lot going on. And I understand why Venus is the way she is. Venus has things with herself. This is kind of hard. I'm trying to break it down to where you can understand on my level. Venus is that rockiness, that thunder, and that gravity of that love that just pulls you fucking down. And just think about Venus being, like having your Venus like in the 8th house, just take that and just goes deep, or in Cancer to where you just, you want to wash the waves and have your feet in it and deal with it, or it's in Pisces. Well, Pisces, that's when you take the love and you want to go deep down, so deep, and swim around and all the oceans and the land, and just have experience that love in all levels. That's why it's resulted in Pisces. But so knowing these planets on an astrological level, on a scientific level, on even just like other even through Egyptian terms, through Greek terms, through different methods of mythologies and different aspects and different breakdowns of these planets, it's really good to know. It's really good to understand, because when you study all of that, it all correlates down to one. It correlates all the ways down to the same meaning in terms and interpretations of one. Ra, Son of God, all that, one. All means the same thing, So everything just boils down to labels and understanding and concepts and everything. So like, when you speak of things, you should know, like, some people, when they speak of things and they speak of it so passionately, doesn't necessarily mean they believe in it. They're just speaking about it passionately because the information of it is just so beautiful. Information is beautiful. Communication is beautiful. It's so much beauty in it, and that's why That's why we communicate, because there's healing in communication, there's hate in communication, there's death in communication, there's life in communication. There's that third house is intense. That third house is a lot more than what people give it fucking credit for. So then dealing with love on this level, I mean, like with the planetary alignments, now we've got Venus right now just moved into Cancer. Oh my God. Oh, that poor little Venus opposing their, Pluto. Oh, that's a lot. That's a lot to deal with. But Venus is a badass bitch. She can handle her shit. So Venus in Cancer. That's very very nurturing. And you know what, Pluto needs that. Pluto needs some nurturing and some love and attention. Especially with everybody fighting over if he's a planet or not. Who gives a fuck? He's a fuck. Let him be a planet. Let him be whatever the fuck he wants to be. So give him some love and let him love himself. That little psycho. I love him. So. And then we have, let me double check. I have to make sure, because everything, all those with the degrees and everything always just constantly changing. And let's see here. I like to look at the planetary alignments on different sites, just because some of them, it gives you like a nice cool picture and some like the picture of how it looks in the sky. And I like to look at the Vedic version. Then I also like to look at it in the Vedic like chart version, and then of course the Western version. I like both. Both of them are so profound because I look at Hindu astrology, that's our higher self, and then Western astrology, that's our lower self. So we need to bridge that shit together, So I mean, they're both right in their own way. Just like whenever you deal with different astrologers and they have different concepts, whatever, different degrees, it all still boils down to that one, that one meaning interpretation, So that's why I like to study different varieties and different categories and genres of astrology and numerology and all that, because it all boils down to one. It's the same thing. It all boils down to the same thing. So let me see here. I need to quit changing my stuff on my bookmark bar. I'm so OCD. I'm so OCD. I'm retarded. Okay, like things have to be a certain way or else like my brain does not work. And it's been very good for me. So. It keeps me in order because I like things to be in order. That's the feng shui of things being in order is a nice flow. So we got the moon right now as of right now it is in 4 degrees of Aquarius. So we're getting ready to come up into that eclipse. Yeah, I'm not even going to touch base on that right now. I probably won't touch base on it like on the podcast. If I do, it'll probably be later. And then we've got, of course, the sun is in Leo, and then we've got Mars in Leo at 11 degrees. And let's see here. Mars is definitely has a lot to do with love, and when you study like Mars, it's about adventure and it's I do consider it like that soldier. I love that terminology for it. The light side of Aries and Scorpio is Mars, and the dark side is Pluto, and the spiritual side of it is K2, or the South Node, because the South Node is one of the co-rulers of the 8th house. So of course it's going to link it back to anything that is going to be the opposite of where the 8th house is. So anyways, what I mean by that is like if you have your South Node in Aquarius, what's opposite of Aquarius? Leo. If you have your South Node in Cancer, the opposite of that is Capricorn. It's the co-ruler of the 8th house, so which means it's gonna have some linkage in dealing with that second house. Ooh, that second house. You know what? I'm just gonna hop skip over that second house right into the third house, because that second house right now is just kind of fucking my world up right now. So I'm just go ahead and just jump into that third house. And then we've got Chiron. Chiron's in Pisces. Oh God, and again, Curious, it's healing some wounds. It's that 12th house. It's so right now, when we look at it from a chart point of view, Chiron is sitting there in that first house with Pisces, that healings of the bondage and the chains and the very sadistic and nasty and dark, gross, demonic waters of everything that we have been through during this period of the age of Pisces, so it's trying to heal a lot of that. A lot of, look to where your Chiron's at, in your chart. And like my Chiron, I believe, it's in Taurus, and it sits in my 11th house. And let me tell you something, I have been dealing with some deep rooted wounds when it comes to my 11th house shit. I'm an Aquarius, but my sun sits in the 8th house, and dealing with the issues that I have with the 11th house, because I have a love and I have issues for each one of the houses, and learning to work on myself through my usage and methods of mostly astrology. I do like numerology, but that's something that I use for like kind of fun and kind of confirmation when I'm doing kind of like tarot. When I read tarot cards, a lot of times it's just for confirmation or for guidance. So there is shit in my 11th house that needs to be healed and analyzed and broken down, and it's in Taurus. So looking at from my well, it's on the cusp. It's cusping between the two signs, but I have a lot of stuff there that needs to be dealt with, like with healing. And then you look at Neptune. Neptune has made it back home into a sign of Pisces, and Neptune, that's another one. That's one of those other planets too. That it's not what you think it is. It's just like heaven. It's not what you think it is. God, it's not what you think it is. The world is not what you think it is. Other people is not what you think it is. So Neptune, you can learn a lot from fucking Neptune, because Neptune is retrograde and he is trying to teach us some shit. So, and a lot of that too is like Neptune, like these gods, yet that these planetary, planets are named after, and all this astrology stuff is named. It all links down to, like these gods, they lacked so much self-love that they had to have other people worship them to get love. They had to find their love from an outside source, and that when you start going to love, when you need love from an outside source to be able to feel better about yourself, or feel empowerment about yourself, or to be able to do anything about yourself, that's some twisted fucking shit. Because when you do start looking outside of yourself for love, then things get distorted and filtered, and it's that's why that's why they're not here right now, right? Because they either killed themselves or destroyed the like stuff during like our history, like villages and countries and all of that going through like some mass destruction. It's those poor gods. They lack a lot of them. I'm not gonna say all of them because I don't really know, because I don't know any of them personally, and so I haven't been able to sit down with any of them and be like, hey, why don't you fucking love yourself? But they did look to others for worship. They did look for others for love and to feed their ego and to feed their heart, and so love is so profound, and people need to realize the meaning of love. Love is that unconditional love of self. You have to have unconditional love of yourself. Love your ego. Love your shadow side. Love everything about yourself. Because there's a reason why it's there. There's a reason. And you got to figure out that reason why things are the way they are, with yourself, and going into that rabbit hole. And then you want to evaluate your relationships with your family and your friends and your love. Like the people that you love, why do you love them? Do you love them because they look up to you and worship you? Do you love them because they can do no wrong? Do you love them because they know you so profoundly on such a level to where their love for you is unconditional and you love them back the same? Because let me tell you something, you can definitely tell if somebody loves you unconditionally or not, because of how they talk to you is one way, and how they do things for you is another way. You want to do something for somebody out of love of your heart, not because you're expecting anything back, but you're doing it because you want to show some love. So people really need to understand that love starts within. Love starts in the 5th house. Love starts with that's God's heart, And I'm not a highly religious person. I just like using the concept because it's an easy analogy, And like atheists, go talk to a fucking atheist for a while, because those motherfuckers, not only do they know the fucking Bible, they can quote shit out of the Bible, they can break that fucking Bible down, and they know some shit. They're atheists for a reason, and some people that aren't really atheists, like I do this, I'm not an atheist, but I do understand and respect it in some form. Some people might even look at me as an atheist or agnostic or whatever. It's just labeling. I try not to let anybody label me, because I know me. I'm not this. I'm not that. I'm what I want to be, and I am me. So, atheists, I tell people I'm an atheist when I went through this period where I used to write as atheist, and that's just because I was, trying to get some shit figured out. Because it's a lot easier when you tell somebody you're an atheist, and then they're just like, then of course they got to reevaluate how they're going to handle you, and that just kind of that was like a deterrent thing. But atheist people, they kind of know what's up, they do. A lot of them do. A lot of them maybe they don't. A lot of them are still going through like their phase or whatever, but they they get it. They understand it, So people are always out there like bashing people for being an atheist or whatever. You know what? Sit down and talk to one. They will blow your fucking mind. They will blow your fucking mind. And then after you talk with them, take some notes and then go talk to your preacher or your priest or your reverend or whatever and see if they can blow your fucking mind, because they can't. A lot of them can't. Because a lot of those priests and reverends and all that and people in the church, half of them don't even really believe in fucking God. It's just it's an easy way in to gain some power, or it's an easy way to gain that love. It's an easy way to make money. It's an easy way to manipulate and to scheme and to. It's a lot of the people so many people are in the wrong profession, because a lot of them you can tell by the lack of bedside manner. And when I say lack of bedside manner, like people are just so fucking up in their fucking own shit to where they don't know how to handle other people without it affecting them. When you go into a job or when you're doing a profession, you do that job for that job. You do it for that love of that job. That love. See, everything's about love, so this is huge, and I've been working on self-love for a very long time, for years. And a lot of times that self-love does come off as being egotistical. So anybody that knows an Aquarius or Sagittarius or a Leo or even an Aries, sometimes a Libra, it just depends on the Libra. Virgos, I can't really go there with Virgos, but because a lot of them are still learning self-love. That's why they're so nitpicky, they pick themselves apart, they need to stop doing that shit. And it comes off as arrogance, it does, because there's a difference between being conceited and convinced. And a lot of people are just convinced. They know their worth, they know their love, so it does come off as being egotistical and operating with the ego. But you know what? No, it's learning, it's knowing and learning and loving yourself on a level that nobody else needs to be on that level but you. Nobody needs to understand that level but you. But you need to get your heart to that level, your mind to that level, and reevaluate things whenever anything's interfering with that fucking love. You fight for fucking love. You kill for fucking love. You eat for love. You pray for love. You live in love. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to end the segment here. This is definitely going to be a topic of discussion I will discuss again, but let's bring in this next age, for our children, our grandchildren, and then the people after that. Let's bring that age in with some love, because we're all lacking so much fucking love in our life. You need to learn to love your hobbies and love your work and everything. So just think about that, because the love, it always starts with the self, and you can't live your life if you don't have any love. And if you're loving somebody that doesn't love themselves and they treat you sometimes like they don't love you, they don't fucking love you because they don't fucking love themselves. So go find you some love of yourself. This is Electrical Essence, and you guys have a good afternoon.